I really like the profile of this guy. And pretty much any of the four sides looks really cool with its own thing. Hi guys, my name is Varadante, and welcome back to Neonates, horror game enemies creating process. So we continue our work on the most basic characters of the game, and today I want to sculpt through the simplest two kinds. I'm not even sure where exactly they'll show up. I may actually go with the route of making this stalagmite kind. Is that correct? Stalagmites are the ones that, like in a cave, those calcification things that grow from the bottom, right? Stalactites go from the top, stalagmite from the bottom. It's been a while, but I think that's what this type of things is usually called. I'm thinking to go with the route like how I would implement them in a game if they are actual enemies. I think I would go with actually making them slightly damaging to John when he is nearby. If they're around in the room, you wanna destroy them, and also they may block your way somewhere. If you don't have a weapon, you can't go through, so maybe if they appear at the beginning of the game, they will be like an obstacle that you can't pass. I remember in Silent Hill 4 there were these very long sticks that are kind of like growing weird thingies, and they had a similar action going on in the game. Right, so I'm just comparing to the previous character that we worked on when I was changing the materials and the colors. I was thinking, why is the egg yolk the same color as the rest of the stuff? And that's because actually materials don't differ in colors because they both just wait for vertex color. The actual difference between the two materials is in the roughness, so the egg yolk is a lot more shiny. And you guys were super awesome about a bunch of brainstorming ideas about how to improve the whole thing with the colors. By the way, not everyone was on board with changing colors to these more of a bright, flashy ones, but I can see that most of you agree, so I'm just gonna go with what I feel is right. I really don't think black version was the right one, so yeah, many of you guys had ideas about maybe making the fleshy part translucent and maybe even transparent sometimes, like getting a little bit into the egg whitey kind of transparent refraction and everything. And while it's a cool idea, and I also thought about that, of course, I'm not 100% sure that it would look good in real-time graphics. Like, Unreal Engine 5 can pull off a lot of things, but usually when you start relying on, like, refractions or intense fog, intense translucencies, that kind of intense effects, they become very temporal. Which means, if you guys ever notice in games where there's glitch going on, where when the character is moving around, they leave, like, a trail of anti-aliasing or something, like some kind of ghosting. That stuff is sometimes really hard to get rid of. And yeah, in Unreal Engine 5, a lot of effects and all kinds of stuff like that, like passes of materials and everything, they rely on this temporal sampling, so I'm not sure how that'll go. For now, I'm just thinking about, shapes and colors. What we can do later on, I will do this look development part later when I already have my models in Unreal Engine, because it's like a secondary part. We'll still need the surfaces and their colors, but if we can make them nice and translucent, we'll very much try and do that tastefully somewhere, but overall, I would like to give the characters more of this flashy look. Yeah, another cool idea about also like being transparent is the egg yolk itself. Like if we look at the finished version here. First of all, it may be brighter, like we'll see, we'll still be searching more in Substance, of course, where we actually gonna be texturing things, but would be cool to make it transparent in a way, and behind it, like a second layer underneath, an extra geometry, would either reveal some kind of worms maybe, or an actual face that's like foggy and barely visible underneath this surface. Now that would be pretty cool. Actually showing some kind of maybe disturbing or maybe actually very, childish kind of very smooth kind of face that's almost like sleeping underneath all of this terrible thing, that would be a very interesting way to go about it. So we'll see. For now, let's go ahead and sculpt around. probably switch to this mode. So this dude, the flying one, he's like the more interesting one, I would say. Right now he's just an ice cream. And I feel like I need to improve the concept a bit. Right now it looks a bit too basic. Same as this one, I guess. See, I'll actually go ahead and duplicate them because I want to go a bit strong and brave. So I'm not going to be separating anything because, as I learned in the previous episode, that it's really cool to work with all the meshes inside of one object and just using H or Shift H to isolate stuff, and it's very cool to work that way. So how do I make these face sets to show up? Like, I have two separate pieces of geometry here. In here, there's like initialize face sets by loose parts. And it should be working, I assume, but it definitely doesn't. And now it froze. Oh wow, that's what you did. Yeah, I would freeze too. Let's not do that again. Finally, it almost worked. Why did it do it like that? So there's one mode of selecting by like selecting in the edit mode, like I selected this piece, and then you go to the sculpt mode and you just press face set from edit mode selection. But it keeps doing that? Very strange. Oh, cool. So you just hover with a cursor and you can control W to grow your face set. So that's one way to fix this, I guess. I wonder why it was selecting so awkwardly. Yeah, there we go. All I wanted. Also randomize colors, because I'm fun. Like that. To the basic egg yolk color. So, I wonder how to make it look more weird and conceptual, so people would think that I'm special and I thought of something incredible. So I remember I had an idea before, like the egg white, to make it a bit smaller. Like it will be mostly yolk here, while this one is almost completely egg white. Well, it's completely egg white, but you will definitely see some egg yolk showing through the thin film. Topo is of course disabled already. Sure. Oh, Topo kills face sets. Keep the current face sets on the new mesh. Yeah, let's do that, Topo. Oh my god. That's not you even. You're unable to do that. You never really mention face sets specifically, but there they go. Ah, whatever, I can live without you. I have Control R. Beautiful. So face sets, oh, but Control R. Can you keep two separate meshes separate? Like remesh, but just two separate pieces? Apparently not, but it does keep the face sets. I'm gonna give it that. Oh, even hiding a face set doesn't help. It just does a full reset. Anyway, I won't be touching anything. For now, like, we can at any point, of course, separate the objects. So yeah, with this guy, it will definitely be awesome to make all this goop really dangling around with physics a lot. It will be probably very easy and very effective looking. Or maybe not that effective. How exactly is he gonna be moving around? I feel like he will be like very retro style levitating with very little movement, like pretty much frozen in space. Definitely not gonna be doing something like this, of course. This is terrible. Oh my god, I'm looking forward to coming up with what kind of sounds neonates are gonna make. It's gonna be so much fun. I'm also playing around with making music for the franchise, and it's just so cool how much stuff you can do completely for free these days. So I'm gonna remove this particular pattern from the face because we already have that on the first guy. I'm gonna focus a little bit more on how the egg yolk is kinda trying to fall out of this egg white. So yeah, let's separate that. I gotta say, it's already looking much better with this kind of shape hanging off like this, like a muffin top. Keep forgetting I should be doing this only in orthographic view, but it's not always possible. Okay, topology is on, and where is it? Topology masking. Not even close. Oh yeah, let's actually make these long things, and they will be active things. Why not? Why just have a floating head? Like, with this guy, I can see that purpose for him, right? Some kind of a bunch of them growing and blocking the way or the path or whatever. But with this one, it's like floating and what? Calling the others? I don't think that's something I would want to do. So at the end of the episode where I was designing this guy, I remember I really liked this idea of things sticking out. Shouldn't make it look like a weapon, of course, it would be pretty lame. Okay, I selected random colors. Why is everything just green? This is so lame. So I'm repeating the feature of the long guy that we have. There he is. So his long arms are also kind of like socks stuffed with all kinds of stuff. And I'm going the same route with these long tentacles here. And I feel like we should just go longer. Gotta have some holes to add some bloody rusty stuff going on with iodine. As I think of it, I just wanted to add a hole. Okay, this being like very fleshy and with all kinds of colors in all these holes and everything, this gotta be pretty dope. I wanna introduce much more complex streaks of egg white all over egg yolk, and we even have like pathways to do that. So let's stretch some snake hooks. I can see I'm getting this effect again that I was going for in all the other neonates. Very wide on the side, very narrow from the front. Let's double down on that then, because it looks actually really cool in that regard. Pretty cool dynamics we have here. I notice I like this kind of workflow a lot when I'm like modeling sculpting. First, you define a bunch of details that you like to see, and then you sort of grab a grab tool and just make sense out of them, you know? Find that dynamic shape that really works well. And in here, you guys can see this cool flow is showing up. On the other side, also its own thing. But generally, this side is less detailed. Probably because the lighting is less detailed on this side. It's a trap. Okay, gotta define a bit more reaction of the egg yolk to all the stuff in here. So I'm gonna be using a lot of crease brush now. Now here we have some kind of face. It's turning out pretty cool. Would love to see this guy having like translucent egg yolk with something going on underneath. Alright, I'm thinking something like this. I really like the profile of this guy. And pretty much any of the four sides looks really cool with its own thing. I don't know, I might later work a bit more on like super tiny detail of this whole business, but really considering the size of the character, shouldn't really do too much of that. And really there will be a whole lot more detail added in Substance using textures and procedural stuff. So far I'm really happy how I incorporated all of these egg white tentacles into the cracks. Some of them like really go right in there. If you just smooth it just right. This one is just perfect here. It will be cool also to colorize them to get much closer in color to the egg yolk. Kinda like I'll be doing in here, but obviously these thin parts will also be translucent to the yolk. Oh my god. Yeah, looking forward to see this guy. This is very different from what it was in the beginning. Now it's some kind of flying brain of very, I don't know, the slim and long shape language of it is just so like a very different context, and well, you really expect trouble from this kind of guy. Really looking forward to adding colors to this, really. But yeah, I guess I'll end this smaller episode on this note. In the next video, we'll probably do this guy and maybe colorize both of them together or something like this. What about cycles? Oh yeah. Like, that is really cool. Whoa. I really liked how I used this brush. Like, there's clay, but clay is like softer. It's kind of like polished. It's pretty sharp, but it has smooth edges in a way. But then there's these clay strips, and this stuff is super sharp. And if you use it together with Dynamesh and kind of just apply them properly and then work on the edges and everything, you get this like texture that you can really work with. Instead of using some kind of texturized brushes, I believe more and more with time that you don't really need texturized brushes. All you really need is just apply some kind of flow with the brushwork and then know how to tastefully blur it out or support it with the crease here and there, you know? Like in here, it all looks like some kind of natural bone structure in a way, but really it was just a bunch of this kind of brushwork and then like careful creases and some smoothing here and there, and it's looking pretty dope. But yeah, for now this is it. Tell me guys what you think about the flying dude. Also, do you guys have any ideas about what kind of sound this guy may possibly make? Something very special, like not really like a sound of an animal, but more like the sound that you hear in your head when it's nearby, kind of thing. I'm thinking like that. Maybe it will be even like combined with a specific soundtrack that will be very deep and like sounding like it's just happening inside of you, hearing something deep and painful. Anyway, for now this is it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye! Oh yes. Everything looks better in the darkness.